Alright, that was Attack on Titan, Season 4, Episode 4. So that was kind of a pointless after credit scene. I'm not even going to try, sorry. That was me being sarcastic. That was a fucky episode. Is that a safe way to put it? Was a fucky episode?
Okay, yes. I think you could put it that way because normally at least you write down notes or I write down notes. Most of the time you write like lots more notes than I do. But I at least sometimes write like one thing or two during an episode, and I didn't write anything from that episode. And it was not because it was action-packed or anything like that, or I was like but it was because I was so like, what is happening with all of these new things?
Well, I wrote a little bit, but the main reason for that is this episode marks the completion of my first notebook. In Attack on Titan.
Mine is actually every page full too for my Attack on Titan notebook.
Yeah, I've completed it. This is my first book that I'm gonna hide in my drawer in my desk with a secret key that I'm gonna give to my son after.
Are you gonna put like a photograph in there?
I don't know, maybe. But this episode, right? The Tybers are an interesting bunch, and I am gonna just I very rarely say stupid theories because I have a lot of stupid theories, but I very rarely say them during the episode. Mm-hmm. But I'm going for it. Annie's a Tiber. I think I think Annie's a part of that family.
Maybe an off branch of the family?
I think there's a small chance Annie has the Warhammer and the female Titan.
That would literally be insane. That would blow my mind. I'm already like mind blown a little bit just about this whole like they're actually the ones in charge.
Yeah. And like just to go with that, come on. Genetics and things like TV, like casting, but also like anime. They're blonde, easy, blue eyes, easy, but the noses, right? Mm-hmm. Look at that girl right there who kind of looks like Annie, right?
I mean, I can see where you're getting at a little bit. It would be literally blow my mind crazy if that ended up actually being the case. I mean, it does fit into that theory that he asks Commander Magath, would you be able to tell me who has Warhammer in this room? And he was like, no, I wouldn't.
I'm not confident that Annie has Warhammer, but I'm pretty confident that Annie's a part of this family. Another thing I really wanted to quickly touch on is the statue of Helos, which was the human who slayed the devil of all Earth. In this, I'm not like coming at the talent of the sculpting community within the world of Attack on Titan. All I'm saying is that this statue looks a bit different from either of the depictions drawn we've seen of
Ymir.
No, Ymir's the human.
Ymir was... The devil of all Earth was the one that gave Ymir the power, wasn't the one that this guy, that Helos slayed. It wasn't it Ymir, right?
No.
No? Where did they find the devil of all Earth?
This said that this person slayed the devil of all Earth. A century ago, a mere human... Sorry, I just had it. A century ago, a mere human slayed the devil of all Earth.
Yeah, and
became the renowned Marleyan hero who saved the world.
But Helos. I thought saving the world was killing Ymir.
Well, if you killed Ymir, you'd still have the thing that gave Ymir the powers. Right? Mm-hmm. So, you didn't...
That's just like a new... This is a new story to me.
Correct. This is a new story. This is a continuation.
I thought that we had heard that we had heard that this family had done something really, really big in the past for Marley in order to have this kind of, like, different treatment.
We don't know how Ymir died. We know that the Devil of Earth gave the power of the Titans to Ymir, and when Ymir died, that was split amongst 9 Titans called the Eldian Empire. And they defeated Marley for war, and then the Dark Ages started, then everything else. But...
So why would you kill the devil that gave Ymir the powers if Ymir was the one causing you the issues?
Because then you completely X out the idea of this ever happening again. You take away the root of the issue.
And if it's the family that wishes to atone, then I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, Ymir is just Ymir Fritz is just an apple that fell off of a tree the thing that gave that tree nutrients to produce an apple was the devil of all earth. Kill the devil of all earth, you're not going to get any more apples, you know?
Gotcha.
So that's really interesting, because we've never heard this before. We've never heard of Helos, and I think that Helos might have been an Ackerman, and
But Helos was a part of this family.
Was he?
Yes. Isn't that the reason that the Tibbers are respected, and that's why he wanted to see this statue?
Well, he just said he came to see the statue, right? He just said, dialogue, I came here to see the statue of Helos. And then explains what that is. A century ago, a mere human slayed the devil of all earth and became the renowned Marleyan hero who saved the world. Helos. So brave and beautiful, with not a scratch. Truly the spirit of Marley. I think him recounting the story is explaining away what is to come next episode. Yeah, so him recounting this... Did you change clothes?
Yeah. Oh, looks like you did too.
Anyway, yeah, him recounting this story right now, I think, could be telling what to come next episode, or alluding like a potential parallel for like how he plans this parade to go, or at the very least, plans for how he thinks the world is going to see him after he unveils this truth to the world, right?
Right. We have these secrets, or are they even secrets, that to everyone that the Tiber family really is truly in charge from the shadows. Who knows that? Is that something that the common people of Marley, the other Eldians, really truly know or understand?
Well, I would have trouble thinking that the majority of Eldians would go along with the belief and not think it's some joke, right? Because
how could we possibly really be in charge?
Because the Tibers are Eldians, right? If they are able to turn, then regardless of what the actual fact is, I'm going to assume for a second that the Tibers are Eldians, and then if they were told, the Marleyans, that it actually turns out that one Eldian was the person who gave freedom and power to Marley in order to atone, they'd be like, oh yeah, right, that sounds like a Eldian
Would
bit.
it possibly make the Eldians kind of change their hatred towards somewhere else instead of the people on Paradis? If they realize that there is an Eldian family that's truly given this opportunity to the people that are causing them suffering, that has given them this power over all of the other Eldians, I believe it almost seems like the Eldians just believe they were the ones left behind. But if this is the narrative, then they were almost just handed over instead of left behind. They were just handed over to Marley as here are our people. I speak for all of them, and we are atoning by putting you in charge of us.
Yeah. It's interesting how they worded it, and also interesting what a person I'm trying to imagine that this main Tiber is.
I don't have a true gauge on him.
Well, okay, let's look at the facts of the matter. He's underlyingly comparing himself to Helos, a renowned hero.
Mm-hmm.
He is, again, I assume an Eldian, but still seems to think he is important enough to distinguish other Eldians from himself. Like, in my mind, I'm looking at this guy who thinks that being an Eldian comes second to the fact that he's a Tiber. And, like, he's above, like, the Eldians. And obviously, like, he's in the shadows, right? But I don't know, he gives me energy of somebody who obviously thinks they are higher than the world, which might be the case, you know?
I mean, yes, maybe his family did do something that was big.
Yeah.
And obviously if he's saying that they are the ones that gave Marley this power and this freedom and
Correct.
basically stopped war, it's almost like he's saying that, it could be saying with this conversation, with the context, we are talking about how Marley doesn't really know the truth about war. It just exists in newspapers, and if only they were to hear bullets whizzing by their ears, you know, they'd want to stop trying to expand. And it's almost like with that context, then I start to think, well, did this Tiber ancestor just want to stop war as well? I mean, didn't the king leave because he didn't want to fight? So wouldn't they be almost on the same page of either not wanting to fight because they want to atone, or not wanting to fight and running away. That's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
You're choosing to not fight, and you're choosing to relinquish something to the other side.
Yeah. I wonder how the event's gonna actually go down, because the way that he said that he was he planned to reveal the truth and Marley was in need of a hero. Do you think that he plans on killing everyone that isn't Eldian there? Because okay, think about it in this sense, right? He is obviously talking about Marley, Eldia. Where do we know the festival's happening, and why is it different and weird? It's happening in the internment zone, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't it?
Yes.
Am I getting that right?
Yes, no, it's happening in the internment zone.
Yeah, and if it's that's different, that's interesting. What are they going to be surrounded by in the internment zone? Eldians.
He's bringing this speech, this secret that he's going to tell everyone to the place that his people live.
Yeah, and if somebody wanted to and had the power to do so, they could turn everybody in there into a Titan.
That's true. We don't actually know what the Warhammer Titan can do.
Yeah.
We don't know what powers are available to the Warhammer Titan. I believe it's probably physically very strong.
Yeah. So I wanted to get into two different things regarding this whole Helos thing. One of them, I don't really know where to start. One of them, I guess, being with the lore of it and how it was defeated by a human a century ago, which is 100 years, right?
Yeah.
Without a scratch.
On Helos.
Yes, and I think that's very important, because to kill the devil of all Earth, I don't know the devil of all Earth very well. We haven't hung out a lot.
Is this what the devil of all Earth actually looked like?
But if it was true that somebody was slayed without a scratch on them, and they just came back with this harrowing tale of defeating this devil, I would imagine that the devil probably didn't see it coming or trusted this person and then was probably stabbed in the back.
It would further the argument that Helos was an Eldian, right?
Yeah.
The devil of all Earth wouldn't think they were being slayed by the people that they gave a power to.
That's true. Especially if we were under the presumption that you're thinking that the hero was a Tiber.
Right. I am under that presumption that
I could see it.
Helos is a Tiber.
And the second point that I wanted to talk about was in reference to that, because I suggested that maybe he was an Ackerman, right? The person who defeated the devil of all Earth.
Which would also be an Eldian.
Yes, but think about this. I just thought of this when I was sitting here, because you just said it would be Eldian, right? No. What if the Ackermans are Marleyans or something else? So I had just the crazy theory thought, but think about narratively how much they'd be setting up the fact that we've never seen.
They couldn't be controlled.
We've never seen an Ackerman turn into a Titan, and we've been teased with it how many times with Levi and Kenny. Kenny was about to inject himself, and what if he did inject himself and nothing happened? Because he wouldn't have been Eldian.
Weren't they the family that was from somewhere else?
And that's what I'm getting to. Yeah,
that's why they were such a high market value on the underground.
Yeah, and so obviously we know they're from a different place. It could be
they can't be controlled by the king's changing of the memories or wiping the memories.
And it obviously plot wise, narratively, it would be genius, wouldn't it? If they've been kind of teasing us with this.
To think of because we were told that the Ackermans were non-Titan, were human protectors of the king.
Yeah. Obviously, it doesn't work on them. The powers that be.
Yeah. I think that's a really great theory.
So whether they're Marleyan or something else, something we don't even know.
Well, we do know Eldia, the Eldians, kind of conquered and/or stole and pillaged from other places, I believe, other than Marley.
Yeah, but we have a world now. They could be from anywhere. It could be something else that the devil of all Earth gave, a different family, a different I don't know. I think it's an interesting point though, and I would love to eventually see, and hopefully we do see, the hero who apparently did save the world, killing the devil of all Earth, because I don't know, it comes off weird.
The Ackermans are these super, because I think possibly attributing the Ackermans to this person, this human that could slay the devil of all Earth, fits for another reason, because how and why would the Ackermans have superhuman abilities? Wouldn't it make sense somewhat to you, like just narratively, that if a human was able to conquer a devil, that
maybe
they would
get
then,
like some sort of the powers kind
that,
of like passed
that
down.
then maybe something about you was superhuman already,
Yeah.
or from that event, and then you pass it into your family.
It's interesting. Next in the episode, we get look at a mountain, or not a mountain. Sorry, I'm an idiot. A map. But
It's another M word.
It's the island, the paradise, right? We can see the
I
walls.
think you said mountain because it says you get to these mountains up north.
That's probably why I said it. But I am so happy seeing this. We see Reiner giving instruction to the Marleyans, who are like kind of like doubting his intelligence, which is hilarious.
What the hell is that about? Like, it's so idiotic, and it fits with what we got from Reiner, the episode before this, with them as kids being like, well, Marley's researchers told us this and this and that, and it was Marcel that was like, I believe, kind of a little, or Berthold, one of them was a little skeptical of Marley's researchers having, because they were like, why are the Titans this far out? They shouldn't be.
You know what I would do if I was in charge of this mission? So I'm looking at the map, right? There's a lot of like rivers and waterways that go within the walls. If I wonder how deep they run. Obviously they're somewhat small, but if you had the technology, you could like soup up like a submarine and then try to get through undetected under the water. We know that they're
deep enough for boats to be going through the gates,
But they're probably not deep enough for that. But I would love to like strategize how we take the wall ourselves,
I'm like, put some like snorkels on or something, kind of swim up. Because interesting, because we know, like, think about it. Remember the guy that tried to dig under the walls and couldn't do it? So the waterways are not crossing necessarily in the outer wall at places where there is a gate and an opening within the actual foundation of the walls that we know is made out of Titans. So how does that water get through? Does it get through a small hole? Like, is there like a gate there?
I don't know.
I mean, like, we're not plotting like war against Paradis, but I mean, these are some interesting questions to ask. Like,
it's interesting that they have like different areas labeled different things too. Like, I wonder if they have names for different
they have names for different areas on the map. Obviously, we can't read it. It does not look like a real language to me.
Wouldn't the best idea be to fly overhead and for Zeke to just turn all of them into Titans?
Why?
Like every resident?
Why do they not just
because the founding Titans' potential power too? Oh, I don't know. But wouldn't that be the best? Like, if you're going direct, like, wouldn't that be the best area of attack? Not that it's going to happen. Obviously, we find out at the end of the episode.
Remember how they said that all of the ships were sunk?
Yeah.
Why aren't you sending any airships with more Titans? Like, obviously, they have a bunch of Eldians they definitely feel like they want to get rid of. So why not just drop more Titans for them to have to deal with?
I don't know. That's a really, really good question, because obviously if they're just kind of like, oh, Eldians, whatever, they could just get another plane full and take it over. I don't know if it's the range. I don't know if it's maybe they don't want to risk anybody within Paradis seeing the technology of these airships.
It's just interesting because we know that Titans can walk underwater. And so I'm sure that Eren and Armin could also get into the water with the ships, let alone throw things at them.
Yeah.
But something really high up in the sky, we brought it up. We're waiting for a flying Titan. I don't think it's going to happen.
It's got to happen.
How would they explain that to me?
A flying Titan?
How would they make that work? Because all of these Titans are slightly based on humanistic body forms.
You give them wings like a bat, so technically they can't fly, but they can glide if they're like thrown or jumped off
with some
something.
like flabby skin.
The wingsuits that like people skydiving
wear.
Yeah,
so it's just like a flap of skin, so they can glide. Okay.
Like a bat. I could see them doing that. That seems more realistic than just floating in the air. Dragon Ball Z.
I think it's based more in actual what is a body made out of.
I was thinking about this. Do you think the other Was it 4X1 that we got the whole, like, people flying in the sky with swords?
Oh, yeah, that was Falco when he was, I guess, knocked unconscious and or hit his head at the very beginning.
Are we dumb to think that it's like a Titan thing?
Well,
and
we thought at first.
Well, no, isn't it the Scouts, right?
Isn't what the Scouts?
People flying with swords? I
never thought about them as flying people with swords. You're so right. But if the Scouts infiltrated the city, what would it look like to the Marleyans? Like flying people with swords. If they were attaching to buildings and whizzing around?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it would look like.
When I was, so Anna's dad just got to the 4th season of the show.
Yes.
And we are sharing with him the physical Blu-ray that we got so he can watch it along at the same time or a little bit behind us. And when I was getting the first Blu-ray ready, it went back to 4X1. Mm-hmm. And that's like, I feel like one of the first scenes, right? It was very early on, yeah. But when that came up and I saw it, I was like, that's what we already have, mm-hmm. like in our world. But then I'm like, that fucks me up more because we tried to have a conversation about what Falco, how he could have these memories of Titans flying with swords. And if he knows of Scout people before they're even there, then that fucks it up even more.
See, if we're thinking about this connection, like mm-hmm. we had a theory that Grisha was able to know of the attack through Eren and his wife being like, maybe that possibly that timing was all connected through Eren before Eren even had the attack Titan. If Falco is eventually supposed to inherit a Titan, any of them, then he is going to be connected to this future of something happening and maybe seeing the Scouts.
I think it automatically confirms it from episode 1 that it is a fact that at some point Falco's getting a Titan. Mm-hmm. Any of the Titans...
narratively, they're totally pointing to it.
Well,
whether or not it's Reiner's.
Every Titan has knowledge that we know so far, maybe other than the Tybers, have knowledge of ODM gear now, right? Every Titan there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Because Porco would have gotten it from Ymir, mm-hmm. and obviously Zeke and Peak went over there and fought with Levi. So we don't know what they're gonna get. We just know that could be it. If that's what they're talking about, fingers crossed. Hopefully, a Titan gets a sword. I do want to. You brought up episode 1, and you brought up my father watching, and it made me think of something really important about this show, and that is that if you are not paying 100% attention during an episode, you are going to miss
How
something.
Much have we missed? Like
exactly. So we're going to use my dad as an example here.
It's been a day since we recorded, obviously changing shirts. So we had to go to work. So we had a little bit of time to think about stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
So we're going to use him as an example of what you can miss if you're not paying 100% attention to the show when you're sitting down watching it. So my dad basically catches on to pretty much everything. You know, everything's going good. He's like, oh yeah, I just saw this happen. I'm like, we know what episode he's on because, you know, he's on like our account or whatever. And so we know what's a spoiler and what's not when we're talking to him. And he was like, yeah. And Zeke is definitely, he calls Erwin Kendall. And so he was like, yeah, Zeke is definitely Kendall's father. And I was like, wait, what episode is he on? And I like looked what episode he was on, and he had already seen Marley. And I was like,
no, so he thinks that Zeke is Erwin's son.
Father. Zeke is Erwin's father.
That's right. Yes, he thinks that Zeke is Erwin's father after episode 1. When it's
he hasn't watched episode 1 yet.
But no, I'm saying that like it's after episode 1. We didn't get any more information really. It was just the end of episodes. It was the end of season 3 that like confirmed mm-hmm. that Zeke was Eren's
so he had this theory
brother.
Running from the moment he saw Zeke, you know, actually, and he had this theory, and of course we were humoring him with this theory because we weren't going to spoil it. But he got to the end of season 3. Still believing that Zeke was Erwin's father.
And I was
confused. Like, you didn't pay attention to something.
He watches dub and we watch sub, so that might be it, but I don't know. It seemed pretty on the nose,
we literally only texted him one thing. We didn't like text him like the truth. We just texted him a screenshot of Zeke as a child holding the orangutan doll, and we sent him that,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes, oh, he's holding the Beast Titan and as a doll, and we're like, uh-huh, and then he started to like think about it more, and he realized it like immediately after we sent him that picture, and he was like, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, honestly, that's the thing. He was probably watching late at night, and it just fits with the fact that this show, if you are not sitting in your chair, if you get up to go to the bathroom, if it's late at night and you're not really paying attention, you are going to miss some pretty major detail that's nonchalantly given to you.
It was a bit of introspection, because I'm sitting here like a day ago bragging like, oh, I got a full notebook full of information from Attack on Titan. First 3 seasons, I have it all. Now I'm like, what an idiot I am, probably. Like I'm gonna sit down for the rewatch and I'm gonna be like, what? Like,
I think it's because so much of the information that's given to us is just so unpredictably, nonchalantly just given to us. It's not an announcement. Information is hardly ever an announcement of information. And sometimes you just like barely it just kind of maybe goes in one ear out the other.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're trying to pay attention to. You don't know what you're looking for. And honestly, like if I hadn't truly been listening at that time on the walls when Reiner was like, yo, Eren, I'm the armored titan.
Yeah.
Bert holds the claw. If I was like looking down at my phone, if I wasn't listening, I could have just missed that nonchalant, just kind of giving of information. And like, what else have I actually missed? Have I missed anything at all? We're obviously watching this in a different form than maybe we would have if we were naturally watching this, just sitting on a couch with like popcorn late at night.
Yeah.
We're obviously really trying to pay attention and really trying to get the best viewing experience. I think we'd
still like be dissecting it and stuff. I just don't think we'd keep notebooks.
Yeah. Nonchalantly just given to us. Nonchalantly just given to us. Nonchalantly just given to us.
Nonchalantly just given to us.